Top session. Looks like the first one on is Judge Walker.
I am Judge Walker. I'm here with Judge Coward and District Attorney Ashley Welch in this hallway. And I think Judge Coward has some information he'd like to present to the board here at Central Courthouse.
Okay, you will come to the podium, please.
All right.
These matters on the back row, I don't know what to think of. If y'all want to chime in with anything, feel free to. I don't know I guess we could take up 30 minutes if we had to, if y'all want to get a break between what we're going to 5:30 stuff. My name is Bill Coward. I'm the resident Superior Court Judge. Graham County is one of the 5 counties that I'm the resident of. Judge Walker is the Chief District Court Judge out of 6 District Court judges. He holds court in 7 counties, and Graham County is one of the counties. Ashley Welch, as you all know, is our district attorney. We're all responsible, and then Tammy Holloway, of course, is our clerk of court. We're all responsible together and in cooperation with county commissioners to make sure that we have the efficient and fair administration of justice, that people get fair trials, that the courthouses are functioning as they should. Now, a judge with a lot more experience than me, by the name of Brad Letts, sent a letter to me on May 16 of 2014, in which he described his experiences in a trial that he had in Graham County during the week of March 17, 2014. And his description of his experiences outlined several areas where he felt that the courthouse, these are all copies, is in need of some attention. Now, I'll say right up front that to build a new courthouse these days is a $10 million proposition, and nobody here's got $10 million in their pockets. And I know Graham County doesn't either. But the stakes are high. The stakes are that you or somebody in your family might go to that courthouse and be denied justice. Now, it might be that you've never been to that courthouse and you don't plan to go to that courthouse, but you never know when you might get thrown into something, either a civil or a criminal entanglement, and you might be really concerned about whether there's a fair trial or not. And if there's not a fair trial, then everybody's time has been wasted and justice has been denied. And that's stepping on my toes, because my job is to make sure that justice is administered fairly. Now, we all want a fair trial. We also don't want somebody like a good person like Tammy Holloway or the people that are working with her to be injured by some crazy person who comes in when there's no security or not very good security and does one of these things that we're all hearing about with guns and such. Times are different. We have a courthouse that was built in 1942. I think it was dedicated in 1942, and we all think, well, it's good enough for Leonard Lloyd. It's probably good enough for everybody. None of y'all are driving a car that was made in 1942, are you? And times have changed, and we've got to be realistic about how they've changed. And I don't want the blood of somebody on my hands, because I sat on my hands and didn't do anything to address this situation. But what I'm trying to do tonight is to, this thing is weird. is to open up a dialogue with you about what is needed, how can we pay for it, a timetable on it, and then we'll get it done. In 1942, that new courthouse was built for $80,000. $31,000 was provided by the county, and the rest came from the WPA money. There's no WPA money left. There may be sources of funds that we could tap into, either state or federal. It might be we can get legislation passed that would provide some money to do what we need to do. Or we may just have to step up to the plate and struggle as we may have to do. Make it happen out of the ad valorem tax. And I don't know what the cost of the courthouse would be. I don't know, I'm not familiar enough with the budget here, although I know that 80% of the county is owned by the federal government. The DILT money doesn't amount to much, and nobody here wants their taxes to be raised. I know all of this, and I appreciate that. I really do. And we all are afraid of big government and expensive government and high taxes. But this is something that needs to be addressed. If the county attorney's not here, if she weren't here, she would agree that the law in this state is that counties are responsible for providing courthouses and paying for them any way they can. The law is that the senior resident Superior Court judge is responsible for making sure that counties do that. And that's the law. Now, I don't want to be hard-headed or bully. I want to investigate this situation. I'd like to take Judge Letz's letter and I would like to make sure that everyone understands the concerns that are stated in that letter. These are real concerns that have to do with safety and administration of justice. These are not concerns that are frivolous or of no consequence. They need to be looked into. I'm willing to meet with a committee that you might have, or come back here and meet with all of you. I don't know how you do business. Some boards like to delegate to one or two. Some boards like to be there at every step of the way. I don't know what their style of leadership is, but I'm willing to help you understand this and work together with you to make sure that we do something. I spoke at the Southwestern Commission meeting with Greg Cable before he was removed from his duties here, and we had agreed, I think, that Tammy Holloway and I and whoever might want to be involved from this board would in fact sit down and go over this in detail and figure out what it is that we need to do and start exploring possibilities for paying for it. I'm going to shut up and let Judge Walker talk about his experiences as a district court judge. I'm talking about jury trials mostly. There are other things that a district court judge has to say about this. But as I was researching this a little bit, funny story, you know, Graham County was formed in 1872 out of Cherokee County. They built their courthouse in 1874, and it was, somebody might know this story better than I do. If you do, just I'd love to hear more on it. In 1894, there was a murder trial, and the courtroom was on the second floor. And there was so many people up there on the second floor watching that murder trial that it collapsed. And they had to build a new courthouse, which was an old wooden structure that was the courthouse until 1942. I don't want to wait until we have a collapse. I don't want to wait until we have a madman coming into the clerk's office or into the courtroom. I don't want to have a body count before we look at this seriously. And I hope you agree with me. I'm not asking you to write a check tonight, but I am asking you sincerely to look at this with an open mind and to look at it carefully and think about your responsibilities, not just for the next 4 years or 2 years or whatever your term is, but long term for Graham County. And I'll work with you. So, first thing I'll do is not take up anybody else's time. I'm sure you'll appreciate that. Judge Walker, if you want to speak, come around. It's a great microphone. If you have an attentive audience here, I can tell they're listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rick Walker. I'm the Chief District Court Judge in the 30th Judicial District. We've got 7 counties. Graham County is one of them. We do court here of one kind or another several times during the month. I have had the pleasure of presiding at some of those courts. I've been doing court here for a long time. I was in the District Attorney's office as an Assistant District Attorney in about 1990. I started that and did that for several years. I tried a lot of cases in Graham County. Tried a lot of jury trials in Graham County. In Graham County Courthouse is a beautiful structure. I love it. I like the panel. I like the rock. It's a nice building. It is not a modern courthouse, and there are some problems. Judge Coward has spoken to that. Speaks to it much more specifically. I had read that letter. He sent a copy of it to me when he wrote it, and I really can't find any fault with the points he makes there. I think all of those things are true. There are, well, one of the most striking things about the courthouse here is that the jury room is so small and located such that when a jury is deliberating, you can pretty much hear what's going on in there all over the court. That's just not a good situation. That needs to be addressed. There's 12 people in that room, and it's crowded in there. And sometimes the grand jury might be meeting in there, and they've got even more people than that. So it can be a tough situation. As far as district court goes and the way it differs from superior court, probably the biggest difference is we've got more people typically. We might have, well, I've been in court here where it's packed. It's standing room only, literally. People standing along the back wall waiting for seats. There are a lot of folks in there. And when you have that many people in that small place, things can go wrong. And if they go wrong badly, and they go wrong quickly. And so far, we've been lucky not to have a lot of those bad things happen. But they can. And we need to be ready when they do, or to the extent possible to forestall some of those bad things by maybe giving or having adequate facilities and adequate security. The Sheriff's Department here does the best they can with the security of the courthouse, but the physical layout is such that it's just extremely difficult to provide security that's effective, not only for the courtroom, which is bad enough, but as Judge Coward has pointed out, for the clerk's office, there's no security at all. It's wide open, nobody's checking anything, anybody can walk in at any time. And it's crossed, the same applies to the tax office, the same applies to the other offices there in the courthouse in the basement. If somebody wanted to cause a problem, there are doors all over the courthouse that they walk into, nobody even knows they're there. And that's not happened yet, as far as I know. And hopefully that won't happen. But if it does, we are all going to have a lot of questions to answer. And people are going to want to know, well, why wasn't somebody there? Why was that door open? Why was there not somebody checking the metal detectors? Why weren't there more officers on duty? A lot of questions. And I don't know that I'm in a position right now to answer those questions. And as Judge Coward mentioned, nobody expects this to change overnight. Well, there are probably some things that may change overnight, but as far as the physical facility goes, that is a long-term project. It's got to start somewhere. And it's been a really serious issue and a really serious need for a long, long time, certainly since I've been practicing law here. And the process of fixing that situation hasn't started yet. And it needs to start now. It may take a long time for it to come to fruition, but it's got to start somewhere. And what I would ask you to do is get it started. So with that, well, you want to hear?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm in several different courthouses in the district. Murphy for one. Have you
I was there today.
talked to them about their facility? Because it's no better than ours. If even I've been to Bryson City to the new courtroom, and I've seen them standing around the walls of them.
That's true. We're overcrowded everywhere.
And we have authorized the sheriff for overtime, for more security for the clerks and her people.
That's good.
And for the courthouse.
All right, sir.
So we have got started.
Okay, I appreciate that.
When we get $10 million, then that'd be a different story. But right now, we don't have a plan, we don't have nothing in Graham County for people to work that hardly, and it's just, we just struggle.
I understand.
And the federal government, if they would come through with their part of the money, then we could have enough money to build a courthouse.
Well, somebody needs to ask them to do that.
But you know what they say.
I got a suspicion that I know what they'd say, but I'm not asking until somebody asks.
That's what we've got to work on. We can put the burden on the taxpayers to build a new courthouse for $10 million. But we can do a lot of work to this one that we can support.
That'd be a help, certainly.
And I'm sure that there's things that we can do and start doing. And we talked about the last meeting that we was going to start working on. And we did authorize, of course, the overtime for the deputies, and maybe even putting on another deputy.
Well, that'd be great. Anything you can do, we'd certainly appreciate it.
But they check them in to the door just like you do at Bryson City in the new courthouse. And I've never seen nobody at Murphy every time I've ever been there.
Well, I would ask that you visit those places again, and especially Bryson City, due to some of Judge Coward's efforts. They have totally rearranged the security situation there. They had at one point no security at all in the second courtroom, and all that's been changed now so that there is, I think, one point of entry that is everybody that comes through that door is checked. They have a sworn officer on duty there.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them do that, yeah. But that, if you look at the courtroom, there's usually 3 or 4 deputies up there.
Yes, sir.
You have a
In
bail.
the Graham County Courtroom?
Yes. Last time I was up there, there was, I know, 4. And you got the bail, and you got 2 or 3 other deputies waiting on the, to testify.
All right, well,
But we want to work with you and do everything we can do.
We appreciate
But we
that.
cannot burden the taxpayers.
Bear in mind that those other 3 or 4 deputies that are in there waiting to do cases aren't there all the time. They come in, they do whatever they need to do.
And you've got two outside doing
We did last time I was here, before that, we did. But I'm not here to argue about it.
well, that's
We appreciate
what we authorized.
We appreciate what you
The
do.
reason that we done that, because we don't want anything to happen to none of the girls or none of the youngs. And I know exactly what you're talking about, because you know what's happened in the last 2 or 3 days all over the country. And they're just waiting to do something somewhere here, so. But I want to work with you, but I cannot burden the taxpayers with their money to build a new courthouse, but I can do remodel and do what we need to do.
All right, whatever can be done, if there's a
I
plan.
guess there's my opinion, there's 4.
If there's a plan to
Yeah,
remodel,
forward.
that's gonna help the situation out for that too. Whatever works.
Judge Walter, I think they need to hear from our district attorney. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Ashley Welch. I'm the elected district attorney for the 30th district. That's the 7 western US counties, so Graham County is included. I, just like Judge Walker, I was an assistant DA for years before I became your elected DA, and I spent about 2 years out here in Graham County trying jury trials as an assistant, and I've been out here repeatedly, and so I'm familiar with the courthouse. I want to thank y'all for letting us come. The main thing that I wanted to stress to y'all is that it is my job to make sure that the people who work for me are safe. And I employ people that come work in Graham County. They come to the courthouse. One of my assistant DAs is a Graham County native and resident. I care deeply for the people that work for me. I'm concerned for their safety. The judge is up on a bench, and my people are down on the floor, and their back is to the crowd. And my prosecutors are the people who are responsible for putting people in jail. And so my concern is security, because I do not want somebody to get hurt on my watch. I care deeply for the people that work for me. And we've made improvements in our other counties for our security. I understand that building a new courthouse is expensive, and that's not what I'm here asking you for. I'm asking you for the security. One of the things that they have done in Bryson City just in the past few weeks is that the second you step through that door, you are screened, you go through a metal detector, and that requires you to go through the metal detector to go to any of the courthouses in the clerk's office. The clerk's office in this county, they are sitting ducks. And I don't want to have to wait before one of my people gets shot in the back of the head, or somebody in the clerk's office gets shot. I don't want to get a phone call that Tammy is hurt, or any of her girls. And I know that that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's a matter of time. Because when we've got security officers and bailiffs in the courtroom, they're there once something has happened. They're to react when somebody pulls a gun. If people aren't going through the metal detectors, then they've already made it in with the knife and the gun, and it just takes a second. And when they come in the courtroom, particularly for DSS court, or child custody court, or criminal court, they're at their very worst. And so I'm just asking y'all to do everything that you can to make sure that the people coming into the courthouse are safe, and that my people are safe. And I really appreciate y'all allowing us this opportunity to come speak to you, and I'm grateful for y'all. Thank you.
How many,
Yes, sir.
security, I don't, I like David. How many do you think that during court that you need?
We need
Williams, I
one.
can't hear you over here, just speak up a little bit, please. I'm still
Oh, I'm sorry.
understanding what you have to say.
How many deputies, the security part, I don't. I mean, a security guard and a deputy is two different things. I like to see deputies in uniforms with badges, certified to do the security part. How many do you all think that we need in a court case, a court day, in that building?
Well, in the configuration that you have presently, without any changes, with 1, 2, 3 entrances. So every entrance should be secure, and the main entrance should be doubly secure, and then the courtroom has to be secure.
How do you figure 3 entrances?
2 downstairs, 1 upstairs.
Downstairs, 1 upstairs.
Well, they should be jailers down there to take care of people coming upstairs.
Oh, the other entrance comes in by the tax office there.
Yeah, but you've got,
And there's one-
you should have to go through the, swamp,
Metal detector. In their house.
You know, this is an initial meeting, and we all need more information. In fact, I came over here a little bit early today, and with Ms. Welch and with Tammy Holloway, we walked, who I want y'all to hear from. We walked through the courthouse because even though we're there every day, nearly working there and trying cases there, we wanted to look at it with fresh eyes and think about security, think about the needs. This is an initial step. We're all gathering information. And so, yeah, there's 3 entrances, 1 up front, there's 2 down at the bottom, and then actually there's 4 if you count coming in through the jail and coming up behind the judge's chamber. So,
but how many, in Murphy,
1.
they come into the courthouse?
You come in the front door of Murphy, you go through a metal detector. Now, if you're a judge, or a DA, yeah, there's another door or 2 that you can get into, of course. But if you're a member of the public, in Murphy, as big as that place is, 1.
But you still, how many do you need? Just
You
tell
get
me.
1 entrance way.
I understand that. I understand that. How many do you need of deputies to take care of a court day?
Tammy, how many, you don't feel really comfortable with the situation right now? What do you need?
On that day that, I've been in there for 22 years, and 2 weeks ago, Judge Forgo ordered that we have security. That's the first time ever that I have ever really been scared, and we have been scared. And for my staff and myself to not feel comfortable in our office is not a good feeling. And if we had 1 entrance into the courthouse, and I'm talking about where you would close everything off and where you could have 1 entrance and 1 person, an armed deputy, going arming that like they are at these other courthouses, that would be 1 person would be all that you would need at that door. And if you look at it, now like Judge Coward said, this is a suggestion. We've just got new eyes on this. We're just trying to discuss this and see. The only way you can get a wheelchair in is from the town side where City Hall is. You can get a wheelchair in there. They can come in that sidewalk that way, go in through that metal detector. There's enough, we could set up a table and a metal detector there. You could have an armed deputy on that door, close that other door off, close the front door off. All employees, not only my staff, Irma's office, Carolyn's office, everybody would be safe. Then nobody else would have to go through another metal detector. No, everybody that come into the courthouse would be safe. You would have someone on the door to make sure that they, like one of the jailers there, and then of course you've got your bailiff that has secured for our judge and again for my staff and for Ms. Welch's assistant DAs. That's my suggestion, but I have not felt comfortable lately. I mean, just with how
I know why, but
people don't come into our office happy. There's nobody comes into my office that is happy. You know, we try to make them feel happy and, you know, be nice to them and everything, but they're not happy usually when they come into our office or into the courtroom. They're not there because, oh boy, this is somewhere we want to go. And it's not that way. But
now you're talking about just the court days.
no, I'm talking it's the time in which we're living, like Judge Calvert said. This has got to be all the time. We have got to make that courthouse safe for every person that works in there. It's just not on court days that people are mean. They're mean every day of the week. 365 days a year, I think people are mean. And this is just something that we need to address, that it needs to be day in and day out. It's the time in which we're living in my eyes.
Well, my personal self, I will make a motion to do what we need to do in the security part. If we have to give the sheriff more money, if he has to hire another deputy or more deputies.
I'd like to say something about our sheriff. Any time that I have a special need for a hearing, a small claims hearing, or if I have an incompetency hearing where I think that it's going to be heated, all I have to do is ask him and he sends me an armed guard. If I feel like I need somebody, that's not on a court day, Danny always makes sure that I have somebody there.
But
So,
I understand the other part too,
right,
because it may be a day that ain't nobody there.
right.
You know?
But if, you know, like you said, if you've allotted overtime, if we could maybe this is something that we could do, that we could put it in the budget where, you know, this is something that it's going to have to be, you know, that Graham County is going to have this to make sure that our courthouse is secure 365 days a year.
This board has discussed this, I don't know how many times since I've been on the board, the needs that we've got in this county. From the courthouse, the jail, DSS, all the different things. Finding the money is the problem, but we're certainly aware of the needs, and we'll see what we can do to changes that we can make to secure the courthouse.
Thank you.
I've got some ideas, but we'll see what we can do.
We appreciate that.
And we will work on the other part too. But I'll just be honest with all of you that's here, I don't want to see the courthouse moved out of town because it would kill the town of Robbinsville. I want to see if we can remodel it, do whatever we need to do, but to spend $10 million and move it out of town, the town will just dry up worse than it already is. And that's the only thing we have left in Graham County is our courthouse. And I know we need to do work, and I'll be one of the first to say that. But I'll be one of the first not to spend $10 million for a new one right now.
Right. Well, if I may, as I said, I personally, and I'm sure the other folks who have spoken tonight are willing to continue to work with you to gather information, bounce ideas back and forth, what I'd like to ask you to do is go ahead and schedule this on another agenda, maybe another work session, where we can go a little bit further into the details. In the meantime, my suggestion would be to take that letter from Judge Letts, make sure that you understand all the points that he's trying to make. Some of them you almost have to be a lawyer to understand what he's talking about, but that's because he's a judge. But if you dig down into it, it's not going to be that hard for anyone. But we can't settle it all tonight. I mean, we didn't come here tonight to try to settle it all. We appreciate the added security that we're able to get from the sheriff. That helps a lot, especially on the days where we know there's going to be a particularly stressful situation. But we look forward to working with you at future meetings and talking about it some more.
But 30 years ago, you didn't have to worry about this.
We didn't have Al-Qaeda 30 years ago either, did we?
That's the reason that,
No,
I mean, it's come to the point that I understand Tammy, and I don't want, I love Tammy to death and over all of her life, and all of her people, and I don't want nothing to happen to none of them, or none of the DAs, but it's come to that point that somebody ought to just walk in any minute.
Well, I'm sure
Because we don't know what comes
through.
through here. And I will be for giving the sheriff more deputies or whatever he needs to take care of the courthouse every day.
That's a wonderful first step, and we appreciate that.
Somebody to be there with them every day.
Good.
If we was to make our taxpayers pay the $10 million to build a new courthouse, then we'd probably have to have armed guards down here to protect us also.
One of the ways that, I think if my reading of the history is correct, one of the ways that Graham County did it back in 1942 was a bond issue, if I'm not mistaken. And that's where of course, the voters decide, do they want to spend money on this or not? And that way, it sort of takes the monkey off of your back. But bond issues are not always available. We may have to have special legislation to do that.
We can look into that.
We may have to talk with Roger West, Jim Davis, and try to get some money from Raleigh. And there's counties all over this state that are in this situation, especially down east, where they don't have a good tax base and they don't have the revenue. But they have the defendants, and they have the registers of deeds and the clerks of court, and they've got to have courthouses. So we're feeling the pinch all over the state on this issue in the smaller rural counties. It might be something that the legislature could look at, but I can't guarantee that's going to happen. And what we got to do is the best we can with what we got.
In security, I would agree, that's job one here. Make sure that everybody in the courthouse is secure. And I'm thinking metal detectors and sheriff's deputies, and we don't want to leave anybody unprotected that needs to be.
It's true. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
Well, we appreciate Jones County. We need to
All right.
get on with our regular meeting.
Let us know when you can put us back on the agenda.
Okay.
We'll talk about this meeting.
Why don't we just plan a meeting with just us sometime?
Sir?
Why don't we just plan a meeting other than a regular meeting with you all sometime?
Okay. Maybe in a room where we don't have to shout at each other.
Right. We just let certain people have minds. You should be able to talk over everybody. You're the judge.
Appreciate Jones County.
Thank you.